All right, we are going to talk about line, shape, and contrast in this video. So to start out, we are going to do some line drawings. Line is the most basic type of art form, really. It's the first thing you kind of learn to do when you start scribbling on a piece of paper. It's anything that happens when you take a marking tool and you drag it across any kind of surface. The first kind of line that we work on is going to be a straight line. So you go to your little line tool over here, and you can just draw yourself a straight line. A straight line is just a line that doesn't bend, doesn't change direction. If we go to the drop down here, you can see curve. That's the next type of line that we have. So you're going to click, drag it away. You can release the click, and then every time you click, it'll make a bend. It'll make your curve. Double click when you're done, and now you have your curved line. When you're ready for zigzag, we're just going to connect a bunch of regular lines. So zigzag, instead of curving sharply, or curving, the opposite of that. It does change direction sharply. There's a sharper curve. Curved lines are gradual. They slowly wind around. With zigzag lines, you have much sharper lines. They're much more pointed. They change at a specific spot. So that's my zigzag line. The C in the word curved is a curved line. The Z in the word zigzag is a zigzag line. Why is it important to know these? It is important to know your different types of lines so that you can have variety. Right, now we're going to hop down to the direction of line. Which way is your line pointing? So we're going to go back over here to our line tool. A vertical line is going to be a line that goes straight up and down. A horizontal line, like the horizon, is a line that goes side to side. And a diagonal line is literally any of these lines in between. So it can go all the way up to almost vertical, and it can go all the way down to almost horizontal, and literally any of these in between. Those are all diagonal. Why is this important? Because vertical and horizontal are static. They're stationary lines, not moving, which can be boring. Sometimes that's what you want. It's a very calming effect, but they don't move around much. Like you think about the things that have vertical lines. Buildings. Think about things that have horizontal lines. Literally the ground. Those things, barring earthquake, don't move around so much. They stay still. So if you want a very calm and stationary picture, vertical and horizontal lines are great. Also be great if I spelled things correctly. Ta-da! Diagonal lines, on the other hand, again, spelling. There we go. They suggest movement. You can imagine something rolling down this hill or climbing up the hill. Those are something that gets you some more action and dynamic art in your artwork, dynamism in your artwork. All right, the very last section for line is about combining different types of lines together. So this time we're going back to our trusty line tool. I'm going to draw parallel lines. Parallel means that they go in the same direction. They don't get closer together. They don't get farther apart. They go the exact same direction, same type of line. Perpendicular, on the other hand, have two lines that are going in opposite directions, and they intersect at a 90-degree angle. This is important to know because parallel lines create a sense of unity. They go together because they are the same. Perpendicular lines, again with the spelling, those have contrast because they go in opposite directions. All right, and that's all we're going to do with line for today. We're going to hop over here to shape. Our shape, we have a bunch of different types of shape, and we are going to label the ones that are on our paper. So geometric shapes are those basic building blocks that we told you when you were tiny baby kids. Those were things like squares and circles and triangles. And also this little star here. any of these shapes that have man-made rules that tell you how to create them. So in order for this to be a square, it has to have 4 equal sides with straight lines that meet at right angles. If it doesn't have all of those things, then it's not a square. We made rules. They're made up. We made them. So that's how you know it's a geometric shape. The rest of these, they don't have rules like that, so they can't be geometric. So they fall into this category called freeform. And freeform has 2 types, organic and amorphous. An organic line is going to be the outline of a living thing. So our deer here, our organic leaf silhouette over here, both of those are organic shapes. That means that these last 2 are going to be called amorphous. It just means that they're like a blob. And then we have 2 extra little arrows over here that we don't need. Ta-da! See, didn't that go quick? All right, so now we're ready to move on to contrast. Contrast, like I mentioned, is when you make things be opposite each other. I don't know if you can hear, but my cat's food dispenser just went off in the background. Okay, now it's done. All right, so contrast as 2 opposite things. So contrasting color is going to be 2 opposite colors. So if we look over here at all of these, to find the ones that have 2 opposite colors, we're going to use an orange and we're going to use a blue. Those are complementary colors. They are physically across from each other on the color wheel, so they are opposite. Proximity means how close or far away something is. If you put things close together, they're going to look unified. They're not going to look separate and contrasting. So this time we're going to take 2 little shapes, but we're going to put them as far away from each other as we can. So they have contrasting proximity. Texture, you want to have 2 different types of texture. So I can take the one shape that is becoming our default, and then we have this other one right here where it's got kind of a spotted speckledy texture. So those 2 are smooth versus a rough texture. The next one is shape. You want to have contrasting shape. Well, we know we're going to use this one because he's the only one that's different. And then you can just pull another one of the ones that is the same as all the rest that we started with. The next one is value. Value is how light or dark something is. So the very lightest value is going to be white, and the very darkest value is going to be black, so that those 2 are contrasting. In the last box, scale, that's just a fancy word for size. So I don't want to use these 2 because they're the same size. I want to use one of these little ones and one of these big guys, and to make it small versus large. And those are our notes about contrast.